Devondre Campbell is one of the Packers linebackers. Very good. He was an all-pro last year. All-pro, not a Pro Bowler, an all-pro. And they're talking about Jordan Love, obviously, and see if you can hear what he says here.
He's a starting quarterback.
Okay,
Yes.
there we go.
Yeah.
No question.
He's better than a lot of quarterbacks in this. A lot of starting quarterbacks.
He's better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in this league. He's a starting quarterback. That's what he said about Jordan Love. I mean, 7 throws. I know you were giving me a hard time before we started. You almost can't even say anything about a guy after 7 throws. But after Jordan Love's first throw, John, I thought he just looks different. He looks decisive. His mechanics look clean. The ball looks good coming out of his hands. He just my takeaway watching the Packers the other night was I hope Aaron doesn't come back against the Bears because I really want to just watch more Jordan Love and figure out if there's something here. But I think there's enough to wonder, is there something here? And then you hear the players talk about him like, yeah, there's something here. Maybe it's working. Maybe redshirting their first-round quarterback is going to work out for them. I am, for the first time, optimistic after watching him the other day that they might have something with Jordan Love.
One thing I remember Roger saying a long time ago about why he thought Jordan Love took a huge step this offseason was he just honed in on his fundamentals. Something that I think, Trey Lance, just fundamental football, like footwork, arm angles, right, or release, just the basic parts of football. And I think part of the reason why you probably liked him, and most people did, obviously he has a powerful arm. He looks good walking out to the huddle. He's tall, long, linear, 10. He looked like a quarterback. And then you watched him move and the ball coming out of his hand. He had an explosive arm.
What would you think? You scout.
Well, anytime you have an explosive arm and you can move a little bit, you look sweet. Like if Tua had an arm like 5 more mile an hour on his passes, we would be like, this guy is like the next Steve Young. Even though Steve Young, ironically, didn't even have that big. You know what? I just think when you have a powerful arm, you are so much more intriguing as a player to a fan or anyone sitting, to a scout, to a front office. So I hear you. He was physically gifted when he was drafted in the first round because his year at Utah State was not good.
No, his year before was good.
Now, part of the reason he redshirted is he has been behind for 2 years the MVP of the league. And then this year, the guy's got $150 million. So he was redshirting for a reason. Aaron Rodgers playing.
Doesn't it feel like he's been redshirting for 4 years or 5 years? This is only year 3.
It does. I mean, maybe they could trade him. Now, Rodgers, I wonder if they knew. I guess they would have known the results when he says, I'm playing this week to McAfee. I wonder if you're the Patriots, the Packers. If you do feel pretty good about him, could you showcase him and flip him, or would you not do that and you'd keep him no matter what?
I don't think there's a chance you would do that. You
got
got him.
First round pick.
I don't think you would do it. You got him to follow a specific formula. If you think he's going to be good, the formula's working. You're going to pay him $2 million or whatever next year. You're going to pick up his 5th-year option this offseason. You've got him for 2 more years. And your team's not good right now. Aaron's hurt right now. So the end is coming with Aaron. I mean, we all know it. When it happens, got delayed a little bit because he eventually re-signed with you. But if you think you got something, if you think you got something, you wouldn't trade him for anything. Because you just saw they've had 2 quarterbacks since 1994? What was Favre's first year? If they got a shot at going
93, I think they
got a shot then, maybe at going 3 different quarterbacks from 1993 to 2033. You don't trade that for 3 ones if you think you got something.
I think he's a good example. If he becomes a good player, one day takes over, let's say they do end up flipping him and he becomes a good starting quarterback, you can improve greatly without playing. Kind of like old school when we were kids in the 80s and 90s style. You would just sit and learn. It was John Kitna is going to start. Carson Palmer was the number 1 overall pick, no-brainer, Heisman Trophy. You're going to sit for a year. Even people then was that's kind of crazy. And he was NFL ready. And that used to happen, obviously. I mean, Steve Young barely played for 7 years. So, to me, Zach Wilson's a good example. Let's say he doesn't play again. It doesn't mean he can't keep improving at practice. And let's say he's not, they have open competition this offseason. Like, it's on you, buddy. Now, the thing with Trey Lance is like, Trey hasn't been practicing. He has a shattered ankle. Now he is walking around. Like, you do have to, we often say you got to play to get better, which is 100% true.
We've said it about Trey a lot. Yeah.
Before you can play, though, you got to practice because that's all you can do. And those reps are pretty, because I do wonder if part of you as like Jordan Love, once you use the offseason and everything to hone in on your basic fundamentals and really lock into like, I'm going to master that. I mean, Peyton Manning worked through like footwork drills till the day he retired, and he approached that like he was a first-year player. But then when you get to go the scout team quarterback, it's weird, right? In the NFL, like your backup quarterback usually is just over on the other side of the field while the starter gets all the reps. You do probably get to find out a lot about yourself, right? Like your arm strength against better, for non in the play, like, hey, make sure you throw this to Jair Alexander. But I'm like, run this play, try to complete it on Jair Alexander and Savage, right? Two guys were invested a lot of money into and starting two good players in theory. I think Alexander's had a bad year. And I wonder if you're able to kind of hone your craft. If you are very talented, like some guys just are maximized, right? Like, what's his name? Chase Daniel over there. But clearly, the one thing you would say about Jordan Love is I would say the three polarizing guys. Fields has probably got out of it a little, but he's going to be polarizing until he like wins games. Like he's doing all the shit. He's still losing the games. Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, like all this talent and physical ability, like, can you figure it out? Like this guy, similar vein, a little bit more off the radar, smaller school at Utah State, but the physical attributes are there. And it just felt like, God, I mean, this is what you look for when I kind of get the physical attributes with a draft pick. Now, Zach was 2, Trey was 3, Fields was whatever, 11. This guy was the 27th pick. If he becomes a starter for a long, that's an incredible pick.
It is. Yeah. And it was the other guy in that video was another defensive player. And they were saying basically like, we play against this guy in practice and we think he's really good. And it's easy to say that when the starter is Aaron Rodgers, right? When the starter is Aaron Rodgers, nobody goes, oh, quarterback controversy. Oh, do the guys like Jordan Love more? The starter for the Niners is Jimmy Garoppolo. They drafted Jordan Love because they just thought it was value. He fell in their lap, and they were right. They rightfully knew Aaron might try to leave them, and they were right. They're right. But Aaron tried to get out of there.
It's happened before, though. Backups have been cultivated into longtime good starters. I think Matt Schaub did it when he was Michael Vick's backup, was traded to the Texans. Jimmy Garoppolo is a good example. Now, these were second-round picks, not first-round picks. Though, I mean, at the end of the day, what's the difference between 27 and pick 40? I mean, they're all kind of in the same ballpark of magnets on a draft board, right? It's not like you're getting like you're viewing like some top guy that could have gone in the top 8 and you're getting it 28 or 38. But you have seen guys get drafted in kind of that realm and go on to be longtime starting quarterbacks and not play. Like Matt Schaub didn't play unless I have to look, Michael Vick got hurt, but he was his backup. Obviously, Jimmy got the game and a half when Tom was suspended, but other than that, Jimmy wasn't playing. Sometimes, like, you draft these guys right in the second or third round, and they just, because your team sucks or you don't have a quarterback, they just win the job, like Derek or Russell Wilson or whatever. But a lot of times, like Desmond Ridder is a good example. Like, who's to say in a couple of years, like, he doesn't turn out to just be like a solid starter for 7-8 years, or just more than likely he's just going to be a long-time backup. But Jordan Love, if it wasn't for the Packers, probably does end up going pick 38, and he was just in the Jimmy situation, right?
Yeah. He would have played by now, maybe, and maybe it would have been not good enough. Like there are people who play in the NFL that I've talked to that think, yeah, if Aaron had gone to the Browns or if Aaron had to play right away, it wouldn't have played out the way it's played out for Aaron Rodgers. And maybe the same could be said for Jordan Love. And maybe Trey's life would have been easier if he was backing up Aaron Rodgers and not taking a job that people, myself included, you included, thought he should just go get like right away.
I would say that's not the healthiest thing for a guy that needs time on a winning team. I think we saw that this year, right?
Yeah, we've acknowledged that. By the way, this means I was just quick Jordan Love refresher. You remember where he's from, where he went to high school?
Los Angeles.
He's from Bakersfield, Liberty High School. His freshman year at Utah State was 2016. This means that Fresno State passed on Josh Allen and Jordan Love in back-to-back years.
What are we doing?
Josh Allen actually 3 years, because you passed on Josh Allen coming out of high school, then you passed on him coming out of Reedley Junior College, and then the next year, Jordan Love goes from Bakersfield to.
So are you saying there's a chance they could have gone Carr, Allen, Love, Hainer?
Yeah.
Instead, they just went Carr, Randos, Hainer.
McMarion, remember that guy won him a conference title a few years ago.
I don't know if he really resonates like those other
Not
guys.
the same way. No. But
now,
like if you told me Trey Lance rolled out in a year and looked, if the first 7 throws, he looked like Jordan Love looked the other night, and I know someone said in the comments, it's true. It's like the Eagles are playing with a 2-score lead. It's not the preseason, but it's also, this is why I want to see Jordan Love play a full game. But
the touchdown pass guy hit a slant and the guy took it 70 yards.
I understand, but I thought he looked extremely comfortable
I
and
agree.
decisive. Comfortable and decisive and accurate. He was throwing bullets on the nose. That was one of the things, remember. It was like, yeah, he's a little inaccurate. Well, he looked like a different player.
Did you see the smile? I know you did because I text you, but anyone listen to this. The smile on LaFleur's face after the Watson touchdown, and he had just thrown a couple balls, and it looked like, God damn, he looked better than Rodgers. LaFleur looked like his kid just brought back a report card and it was all A+. He's like, my kid's going to go to Harvard. LaFleur's, the joy on his face was just like, oh, I am going to get so much goddamn credit. I dare Rodgers to retire.
Well, I actually had on deck ready in my Twitter drafts a photo of Elijah Moore from early in the day when he was doing the press conference after the Jets game with the sunglasses. And it was just, something going to be like, Matt LaFleur after he turns Jordan Love into a starting quarterback. But it didn't transpire because the Eagles were running it at like 7 yards a clip.
The NFL needs to do a better job of, obviously trades have gotten way more fast and furious in the league with I think the influx of younger general managers. I think owners are just, everyone's so rich, like, yeah, let's just let it rip, people are just, to make these big contracts more tradable. Like part of, like Aaron Rodgers, like there's no discussion of, no, Aaron Rodgers is not really a tradable player.
Well, at least eliminate, maybe the dead money doesn't go away for a cut, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Some way to make trading big contracts easier. Because teams will do it. But the trading, like, I think the Green Bay Packers would entertain it. Like, if you could just get out like you could an NBA contract, like I could just trade Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers for a first-round pick, which they don't have. But if they did, right, they would, I'm sure, who knows, let's say they win 5 games. Fuck it. Let's just do a little reset, make Jordan Love, use our 2 first-round picks, try to reset this thing. But it's not even possible. Like Russell's a bad example because he'd be the opposite. Like the team would love to trade him. They'll even eat the dead cap, but there's not a soul would take him. To me, there is not a bigger lock offseason story of Russell grinding, of Russell doing everything possible, of Russell implementing some new pliability stuff, of Russell taking the boys to the Bahamas, to New York, to Florida, wherever to train. That's going to be exhausting. And you know what? People are like, well, we've seen it before. Weird year. Is he going to bounce back? Because it would be, if he just has another year like this, it would be one of the craziest drop-offs in the league history. He's just, universally, everyone agrees, like, that's just a bad player. He went from just being this all-time great player to just being terrible. Like, guys have bad years or whatever. He's consistently that shitty.
Without an injury, right? Without a significant, like, structural knee injury, back injury.
Yeah, the elbow broke, couldn't throw.
Yeah.
He's just terrible.
You just can't see open receivers anymore.
My thing is, like, okay, we can all agree Nathaniel Hackett is going to be one and done. He shouldn't have been a head coach. There is still just an element of football when the dude's 7 yards away from Russell and Russell's throwing it over his head or what. Like, that's a little bizarre. Like, I'm not putting that on Nathaniel Hackett. The guy 18 yards away that Russell's entire career has hit that guy in his colored jersey is skipping it to his legs or is hitting the DB in the butt.
Guys.
Or he's calling audibles.
Yeah.
His whole team.